Jimbo,
we're back.
good morning, people. All right, so did you see? I didn't even change the date. I changed the
I
date
know.
and it didn't come out. I did. I changed it.
It's all right. We're just a little behind,
Oh,
but at
man.
least we're back.
So
We're back. We're live. We're live if you're watching us now. If you watch us on YouTube tomorrow, we can't be responsible for that.
we might be dead.
We'll be dead by then. But we're glad to be
So
back.
welcome back, people. Welcome back. I know that we have two of our faithful listeners, Frode and
We took a long break, but
we had
we
to.
want to
We
do a
were
little reorganizing, so we're back. We're going to have a little intro show today. Well, first of all, I want to mention that tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Not a holiday that I'm a big fan of, but a lot of pressure on Valentine's Day. If you got a girlfriend or wife, there's always the pressure of, oh my God, did I get her something for Valentine's Day? Did I get a card? It's so
yeah,
silly.
Jim. You have to say girlfriend or boyfriend, otherwise you're gonna get canceled.
Oh, okay. A
You have to be
girlfriend or a
careful with that.
boyfriend or just a
We're not.
partner.
We're not in democracy anymore. You have to be careful
Yeah.
with what you say.
Yeah. So if you have a partner, a romantic partner,
There you go. There you go.
then there's a lot of pressure to get him or her or they
Right.
Valentine.
Oh,
And I hate Valentine's Day, but I would love Valentine's Day if I was a florist or
oh
if
yeah.
I sold chocolates. Then I would love this holiday because it's huge.
Now we had a class. So we have classes, right? Valentine's Day, and actually we had a class. Oops.
Nice cutting board, but I'll bet everyone says that to you.
Something is missing. We had a Valentine. So we started the class earlier, right? We started last week
Hmm.
because people wants to come to last weekend. We had full classes, and one of the class people were really sweet to each other. It was really good to see. I was very
Oh.
happy. We had
Was it
of
all
people.
couples?
Yeah, all couple from all kind of different, social economic. It was very very cool. It was really cool, actually. Completely blend up. That was so warm. People were super sweet to each other, even between couples. It was great. So it was great experience so far. We have another one on Tuesday, which is the Valentine. So this is when all the classes are full, obviously, right? But we've done a really crazy good menu.
Good.
We have scallops. Sorry, I put the lights.
Am I having a stroke or are your lights flashing?
No, the light is flashing. I need to.
Oh, good.
Uh,
'Cause I do
and you
smell
may have
toast.
and we had really cool menu. We had scallops, oysters, duck breast. Yeah, Chef Matt did it was beautiful. I should have shown you some pictures. Anyway, we do it again Tuesday,
Nice.
and so that's for that. And I would no, just following what you were saying. People are very sweet to each other, and it was a good experience. So I know it's a pain, right? I hate Valentine as well. Right? I hate it. It's like one of my time. It was really crazy. And my ex-wife and I, Megan, which I still talk to, we're still good friends. We decided when every Valentine to invite all our friends that don't like Valentine, and we had a party all between us. It was really good. Seriously, it was great. And every year, we always end up at my place, and Megan and I, we'd host. We'd had all kind of really cool couple. They didn't want to deal with the Valentine thing. They bring really good wine, and we make dinner, and it was fun, and it was a good idea. So that
Nice.
one way to remove the stress out of that
Yeah.
crazy, right?
Sydney, my wife Sydney and I went out to we were going up to Napa one time. This was years ago. And we went to Yountville and we were going to try to
Yep.
go to Bouchon because we heard they
Oh,
had
nice.
walk-ins and it was ridiculous. There was a
Wow.
line like 2 blocks long to get in and it was raining. But we also it didn't occur to us that it was Valentine's Day. So everywhere we
Oh,
went, of
wow.
course, was so we finally went to Bistro Gentil and it was the first time we
Yep.
went there
That's
and we
great
just
place.
said, "Is there any chance we could get in?" And they said,
Wow.
"Well, the only thing we have is there's a spot at the communal table." Because in
Nice.
the front room they had a big long
Right.
table like we did at Cesar, and we said, "Well, that's fine." So we sat there and we had a fantastic time. The people at the
Right.
table were really nice. They were all couples, and we chatted
Oh,
with them and we ate and we had really good food, and that was our introduction to Bistro Gentil.
that was a good place. Oh my God, that was a fun place, huh? It was really.
Yeah, still there as
What
far
happened to
as I
the?
know.
No way! Wow.
I think so. Uh, I mean, Gentil himself is getting kind of old these days. He must be, but he was really talented. He had been the chef across the highway at the what was it called, the Chandon, the Domaine Chandon,
Mm.
across the highway, and he had been the chef there at their restaurant, and then he decided he wanted to get away from haute cuisine and he wanted to go back to his roots, kind of, and so he did this bistro, and it was just wonderful. But we felt so silly that here we were out trying to go places, and it was
So you
Valentine's
didn't.
Day.
That's crazy. You can forget Valentine. That's crazy. Yeah, yeah. I know. It's like forgetting the anniversary,
Yeah, I
right?
never do that. That would get you in big trouble. Birthdays and
What's
anniversaries, you got to remember.
What's the story? You want um, a really good advice on how to not forget your anniversary? Forget it once.
Yeah,
Like
right.
how to do that.
Yeah. So we
All
wanted to
right.
go back
So yeah,
to some
to
of
the,
our original questions that we
well,
had when
that's
we
that's
started
the
this.
question that people are asked. So might as well answer them. Those are the students' questions. So that might be right.
These are real questions from real
Sorry, guys. I'm not.
students.
I'm not doing. I'm just recycling food. I'm not doing anything special.
Mm,
It's a
it
big
looks pretty
soup.
special. Is that your
Yeah, it's good.
Valentine's Day soup? Is there beef heart in it?
Yeah, this is for 8 people. Beef heart. Oh yeah. So
So
yes, we have all.
we had a
You
whole
go.
list of questions that students had asked when they were done taking a class at Kitchen on Fire. These were mostly students doing the basics course, the 12-week.
No, everything.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, no, no. This is everything. This is even people that come for one time. People that take the series. It's very busy right now. We're really, really busy until April or something. So it's busy.
Hey,
It's good.
hey, Fish Vargas says he has a fresh boar heart.
Oh, where is
Nice.
fish?
Fish Vargas.
Oh, that's right. He showed me.
Nice.
He showed me. You know, he just hunted a white boar this weekend. Fish, well done, man. Fish is one of my chefs.
Where did he hunt it?
He's
Was in his is his was he in his neighbor's
in,
pigsty? Is that where he hunted the boar?
no, it's in backyard. There was some noise last night, and he just took his gun. Fish is one of our chefs. Is really cool. He does Puerto Rican class, and I've we've known each other for years. He's really really reliable. He's a good guy.
And he still
Goes
talks to
up
you.
and down. He goes. He talks to. We should have him on the show. You know what, Fish? I wanted to. We should have you on the show to talk about hunting and stuff because
Yeah.
I want to take Finn hunting. I want to take my boy hunting. He's been really wanting to do that, and so it's time for. It's 17 now, 16, almost 17. It's time for him to learn how to go get your food, right?
Yeah. That would be awesome. I'd like to go.
Yeah. But let's do it a team, and let's not shoot each other like last time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm almost recovered. I should be good to go soon.
You should be able to see it soon.
So invariably, a lot of the people ask the question of how did you get into this business? How did you decide to become a chef? How did you get into the food business? What was your background like that brought you
Right.
here? So I
Well,
thought that would
actually,
be a good place
right,
to start today. So why don't you tell everybody, like, how did you get into food?
right. Let's make this happen. I am with you, my friend. Actually, Fish, I'm serious about it because Finn asked me again. He really wants to go hunt. He wanted to go hunt duck. I don't care what they are as long as we can eat it. That's we're not hunting for we're hunting for eating. I want him to understand what it costs to eat, like the whole process. It's not just you go to the store and you get some food. No, there's a whole process, And just to make a quick parenthesis, a lot of people in Africa, in Africa, I know because I've seen that. They have you seen that? Or in North Africa, they pray, they do a prayer before they kill the animal. Have you seen that before?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the civilization, before they kill the animal, they're gonna say a prayer, right? Thank you for your. It's very important. It's like a really good communication. You communicate with your nature, with earth, the animals. It's either you or them that dies. It's like it's not, and there's nothing evil about it. So
Right.
they say a prayer about it. They always say a prayer. It's pretty cool. I love the idea. I want to
Well, it's
include
that
that to
whole
my.
idea of that you're not killing in anger. It's a
Yes, right.
sacrifice to feed
Exactly. It's a
the
sacrifice.
family. Yeah.
That. Yep. Anyway, all right. So, how did I get into that business? Well, so I started with my mom really at 15 years old. I kept not going to school. I was done with school pretty early, and I was in transition to decided what to do if I was going to stay in school or not. So I started to work on with my mom on the weekends as a dishwasher. That was fun, and I learned really the ropes. So I worked with a chef that was crazy, and the restaurant was super busy. So I got my feet wet very, very quickly. I was thrown in that kitchen, and my God, it was insane. I was like super busy. It was not a joke, and I was working on weekend. So imagine Friday, Saturday night. It was insane. La plonge.
Hmm.
So I was small, right? I was 15. Actually, I was not that small, but I'm not tall. I'm a kind of a small French guy, right? Five. I was 5'8". I'm 5'10" now. So the plonge was really big and huge. And in the restaurant in the time, we're talking 77 or 80s or something. There's no like it's one big thing, and you just throw things in there, and you have to go all the way in the bottom to grab them, right? So you have this la plonge, the dish pit. It's a huge,
Hmm.
right? And to get the thing in the bottom, you have to literally go like this, right? Every time. So my arm is in the water, dirty, dirty, dirty the water. This is not like today. People would not even believe okay. So you have to go in there and wash, and then you have to go and rinse them, right? But the washing was disgusting. It's like it's one big thing, and the chef is right here, and I'm right here, and he doesn't call for hot. He just throw the pans in there, hot pan. So it cooks, and he throws it in the pan. He doesn't look. They don't look. He was an asshole, but that's how they work. So in France, you have to. There's no training. You take the job or not,
Right.
and
And
you
you
figure
learn
it out.
on the job.
You figure it out. And that was all my jobs. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that's the way it was. So when I work in restaurant after that, it's the same. There's no training. You say you know how to do it, then you do it, right?
Right. Exactly.
It's pretty intense. So that's how I started. It was fun. It was fun. And then from that, I started to do the desserts after. Not making desserts, plating them. That's all. Dessert was made. I only plate them. I made them pretty. That's it. And then I went into salads. Very simple salad, nothing complicated. So because in France, the salad was pretty easy. It was either Macédoine. I don't know if you remember
Hmm.
Macédoine de légumes. So it's called a Russian salad with peas and carrots. The square like you find in cans,
Hmm.
and with mayonnaise, fresh mayonnaise, grated carrot or crudité plates. That's cabbage, red cabbage. I mean red
Uh-huh.
cabbage, carrot and celery root. That's very common in France. Or pâté or saucisson.
Right.
And then the main course were like a lot of so entrecôte. We had huge. I don't know what is entrecôte, chef. Do you remember the
It's like
French?
a
The
it's like a flank steak. It's
no, 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 no. It has a lot of fat. It's the
like a sirloin.
how no. What's the expensive one? What is that? I forgot the name.
The the
So you have prime not. What's the
the
expensive one?
tenderloin. The tenderloin.
No,
The filet mignon, the
no, no. Flat, long, big, with the. It's the other side of the T-bone. So you have your
oh,
fillet and your ah. God damn, I forgot. Anyway, all right. Anyway, so that was what we were serving with shallots and tons of shallots. So I don't know if you know, but entrecôte, it's an entrecôte. Entrecôte à l'échalote is not just a few shallots; it's tons of shallots. So one of my job was peeling and cutting the shallots, and it was like not fun. It was hours and hours of peeling carrots and shallots and crying and oh my god. So that was kind of a little bit of a nightmare.
shallots are one of those restaurant ingredients that many people don't use so much at home, and they should, because they're a wonderful, it's sort of like the
Super
chef's little
good.
secret to,
Oh
because
yeah.
they add a lot of flavor, they add a kind of sweetness to dishes.
Yeah, it's
They're
very
great in
different.
vinaigrettes.
And with steak, it's so good.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like yeah.
Still,
So it was
when I cook
steak or
steaks at home, I throw shallots in the pan after the steak comes out, and then I deglaze the pan with wine, and that's the sauce, the shallots and red
yep,
wine
yep,
and
yeah,
butter. And
that's it. Yep. So anyway, so I started to do that, and then I moved on to other jobs in the restaurant. I was pizzaiolo in the south of France when I was 17. So it was the same. I went to that restaurant. Someone heard waiters, the one of the cook is leaving, and I knew somebody, and I went to apply for the job, and that was it. I took the job, but there was nobody else. So it's me 7 days a week, lunch and dinner.
they probably asked you if you could make pizza, and you said yes.
Yeah. No pizza. So I said I'm a cook. I'm a waiter. I just don't know how to make pizza, but I lied about everything else. So it's not making. So I would not make the dough. He would make the dough at night. We can
Right.
talk about this is a funny story, right? But the dough is made when I came in the morning. So I was doing the paton. I was make the balls, make
Yeah.
them ready for lunch, cover them, and then I would just make the pizza. Means I would just flatten them and put the stuff and go in the super hot oven, right? It was a wood burning oven. So the wood burning oven, you have no more hair here.
Yeah.
Like it's gone. Like this is gone. Like literally, it's 1300 degrees, and you have to go really quick and get out of there because it's fucking crazy hot, crazy hot.
And the
But it was
pizza
fun.
bakes really fast.
Oh man, and but they're good in south of
Yeah.
in Aix-en-Provence. That was great pizza, and they all yeah. Anyway, so that's what I was doing for a while, but I was doing everything. So I was doing lunch and dinner, and in the afternoon, I was learning how to be a pilot. So I was taking off at 2 p.m., go to Aix-les-Milles, it's at the airport, fly for an hour. That's how I was paying my school, and then come back at night and work at 5:30 or something until it was early. It was like we're done at 9, right? Or it was early, right? Everything early. It's a small restaurant, but we would have 100 people a day. So it's not. It was a busy place, and I was doing pizzaiolo. I was doing, when the chef was too drunk, I would go and do the chef. It was easy stuff. Huh? It was super easy stuff. It was like basic, you know, andouille, frites, whatever. But I had to do all this, or waiter, whatever, whoever was missing, and I was the only staff, and the boss was working with me. So the boss would do the pizza when the place was busy. So I would leave the pizza to him, and I would do the two rooms. I was a waiter, right? But there was only one waiter, and it was
So it's a
just
really
me.
small place.
It was a small place. Yeah, it was like Cesar, half of Cesar. Sorry, half of Cesar, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, but it was busy. They were busy because they were doing great pizza. So we had a huge, like, quick lunch, leave, and in the evening it was busy, like 50 people maybe. So it was, more relaxed. But there's no day off. So when I wanted to go somewhere, I had to figure out. I had to find someone to work for me that knew what he was doing just for one day or two. But otherwise, I can't take off. And it was seven
Yeah.
days a week, and lunch and dinner. That's it. That's the job. And overtime,
Wow.
yeah, there is no overtime. There's nothing, zero anything. But hey,
But you
that
came
was
from a whole your family
yeah,
has a background in food going back years and years and years, right?
1750s. Yep. So I was saying my son, I mean, hopefully my son is not going into that business, little guy Finlay, but if he did, he would be a fifth generation restaurateur, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Those original people must be pretty old by now.
Yeah.
Wow. And
Anyway, so
those would have been intense days to be working in a restaurant in France in that at that time. It would have been
it's the
like,
same as when I left Paris in '82, or the first time '82, the second time in '95, even in '95, when because my friend worked in, we knew I had a restaurant in Paris, Tex-Mex, and a lot of my friends were waiter or butler, whatever, right? And they was working in those places like the Domago, the Le Chien qui Fume, the Père
mhm.
Tranquille, all these huge machine, in Leal, those big cafes that are filled up with people that drink coffee. And my friends, they were working 16 hours a day, every day. So they made a lot of money. That it's they pay really well, but it's 16 hours a day. So it's two
Yeah.
shifts of 8 hours, and they collect their money. I don't know if you know what that means. They collect everything and they pay. So everything is recorded, right? So if they don't bring anything, that's their problem. And all the money left over is the tips, but everything is ranked for them. So they have a bank, they have their own thing. So they ring, and at the end of the shift, there's a ticket that comes out, and they have to pay that money. And
Oh, I
hopefully
see.
they collected everything, right?
Right.
And then when
Wow.
they're done, they can sell their job, right? So they would sell their job to $4,000.
Wow.
10 at the time it was huge. That's 10,000 francs. We call that a million. Ten
Mhm.
thousand francs, because in the old francs, and that was a lot of money. So if you're looking to work at Les Domago, or what's this place on Saint Germain, where
The
Les Domago,
f-
Café
the floor,
Flore, Les Domago,
cafe
right?
floor,
La Brasserie Lip, all this stuff. So that's Saint Germain,
La
and
Coupole is
to
right there, right near
La
there.
Coupole is no, La Coupole is in Montparnasse.
Oh,
It's
right,
a
right,
little
right.
different, but all these places same. So you can, if you want to stop working, first of all, you stop working after 30 years or 40 years. And those are old people, but you can sell your job because you make a lot of money. Those people are really, it's crazy, huh?
That's interesting because here, if you leave a job, the restaurant goes and hires somebody new to take your place,
Yeah.
and
But
you
here,
could. Can you imagine a restaurant here where you said, "Well, I'm leaving, but I've already sold my job, so this new guy's going to start tomorrow." They'd be like, what are you talking about?"
well, you have to hire someone that's good, right? So they have to accept it. But usually, people that work in those places are the real traditional. My uncle was a waiter. He worked at La Coupole, he worked at the Domago, La Coupole, but then he became a gigolo after that. But that's another another discussion. But that's what he was doing. So he was like super, he was a super waiter, like literally. That
Yeah,
that was his.
yeah. I mean, so many people in this country, especially in the big cities, they see waiting tables or working in a restaurant as an interim job. It's until I get my big break, until I sell
No, no, no.
paintings, or
That's a job, man. That's it.
until I get cast in a movie. But over there, it's a profession, and
It's a profession.
they're
Yeah.
really good at it.
That's what they
Uh,
do. They are waiter. They're self professional waiters. That's what it's called.
yeah.
And they
Wow.
make good money, really. It's like working in a Basi. You would not know that by selling coffees and lemonade and shit all day long and sandwiches. But my friend would make about 4,000 to 5,000 bucks a month. So lots of money to spend in clubs, and
Yeah.
even though they had only a few days to go out, it's
Right.
crazy, huh?
Well, and then you go out to the clubs after you get off work too.
Exactly. You can't sleep. There's no sleeping. So
Yeah.
you work like that for 2 3 days. You take one day off because now you have teams, so you can take a day. When you work like that, or your 16-hour shift, it's usually 3 to 4 days. Then you take 2 days because you can't do all right. And then when you're on your 2 days, all you do is go out.
Yeah.
I mean, in Paris, there's so many clubs and stuff happening all the time. You can't just go home.
A big thing in New York became some of these chefs would open these after hour
Right?
restaurants, and
Yes.
they were basically for the restaurant
Uh,
industry, and
uh, yeah.
they wouldn't really get going until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
hmm
And these
Just like in
guys would
Paris, and yeah,
these guys would get off work, and by the time they
yep.
closed their restaurant, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and then they would go to these places, and because you're wide awake, you're totally wired,
How do you
probably
want
been
to go to bed? My God, you work really hard, like you're pumped up, you sold like tons of, and you like you can't sleep. There's no sleeping.
right.
So you go eat. There was a restaurant, La Tour de Montlhéry, very very famous and old restaurant in Les Halles that's open all night. So you go at 3 o'clock in the morning after the clubs, right? Everybody eats, and you have all the clubbers. You can see them. There's a line out the door, like crazy line. Food is really good. But by 4 o'clock in the morning or 4:30, you can see the butcher coming in. So you have
Yeah.
at 4:30, 5, and 5:30, you have a mix of clubbers that are drunk and all the butcher that are taking that service because Leal at the time was still Leal. There was still
Right.
all the boucherie, all the, so you have these people coming to the counter. That was really cool. It's the place, and it's still. I'm pretty sure it's still open. La Tour de Montlhéry is chez Denise, and Denise was the owner. She was always there, and so cool. That was a great place.
There was a there was a restaurant in New York City on 53rd Street, I think, just off Fifth Avenue. It was called the Brasserie, and it was owned by these French people, and it was
Oh yeah,
open 24 hours a day.
yep. Wow.
So that was kind of our late night place. You'd get home
Yep.
from a party or
Yeah.
you'd be
Yeah.
out,
Right.
whatever. It could be 3 in the morning, and you could go there and you
Oh
could
yeah.
get really good French food, good wine. Uh,
I know.
my experience in the
That's
bar business is that when waiters and cooks get off work, they don't want to drink wine. They
yeah.
want spirits. They want to either have shots or they want cocktails or brandy or something because
Oh yeah.
you're around wine all night long. You're selling
I
it, you're
know.
drinking it, you're tasting it.
Yeah. You're
They
done.
want they want booze. They want and beer and spirits. Yeah. Most of the restaurant people that would come in Cesar, uh, they would all drink cocktails. I mean, hardly any of them ever got wine. They would drink cocktails.
Yeah, because I mean they can drink wine anywhere, right?
Right. They can drink wine at
Yeah. Yeah.
work. So it was kind of that way
Um.
for us too. I mean, we didn't drink a lot of wine. I mean, we did drink wine at work because we were always tasting it and we taste all the new wines and everything. But when we wanted a little staff pick me up, we always were going for tequila and mezcal and breakfast of champions.
Right. 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 Exactly. And eggs and
Yeah.
in Paris there was another place also, La Tour de Montlhéry, and then there's also the Pied de Cochon, which you know, right? Pied de
Yeah.
Cochon, very famous one.
I've been there many
So,
times.
so that place was open all night, 24 hours, and you go there. Same. So the you have to go. If you don't go at 2 o'clock, then there's a line. So you have to go either at two before, like right before the club close, or when you go at 2:30, 2:45, 3 o'clock, there's a line.
Right.
It's crazy, and it's
It's,
wild in there. It's wild, man, because all these drunk people.
and
But there's
you couldn't really do
sorry.
that in a small town. It has to be a big city because you got to have a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of people that are
Oh
going
my God.
out
Yeah.
and
No, it's a whole. Pied de Cochon is huge. The
yeah.
number of waiters in there is insane. Right? It's like crazy. I can't. I don't remember like, but it's huge place. And we ordered the choucroute or the what did we order? The choucroute or the seafood tray. That was kind of like was a little muscadet.
I love that restaurant. I
Oh
still
yeah.
like going there, and it's still good. I mean, it's
Wow.
just good, honest food.
Right.
I'm sure it doesn't win any awards, but it's
I
just good,
mean,
honest,
it's
filling
really,
food. It's really good.
it's more than good. I mean, it was. I mean, when we were going, it was really good. Like the seafood, the shukut was really good. No, it was a great place. It was a great brasserie. And that's not far from Deal. Remember those places that sells where all the American people go to buy their tools.
Oh,
Deilrin,
Tehelerin.
Movida.
Uh-huh.
Are they still there? They're still there, right?
Yeah.
All these
Oh,
places.
yeah. Yeah, and they're right there around. They're very close to where the market used to be because
Mm-hmm.
they, in the old days they basically serviced chefs and
Yep.
cooks. I mean, that's where you'd
Yep.
go and buy your equipment. I mean, they still do, but it's been
Right.
discovered by the tourists too. So people go there and buy stuff to take home.
And
I've
it's
bought
really
lots
nice.
of stuff there,
It's a beautiful place.
and it's not a fancy place. It's very
Not at
it's
all.
very basic and big wooden bins full of stuff,
Oh my God.
big like
Right.
metal baking pans full of knives, just every kind of knife you can imagine, and copper cookware and baking dishes and all kinds of tools and molds. They have amazing metal molds for doing pates and ice creams and things. It's just an
Yeah.
amazing place.
Oh God.
And there's a lot of
Really.
great restaurants around it too. There was a place called Chez George
Yep.
that I used
Still
to
there.
love, and I think it's still there. And
Gio
gosh,
is
it
still
was,
there.
if you go in there
Gio,
at lunchtime, it's
crazy.
just full of working people. It's not tourists. It's just like
Mm.
people from offices and whatever, French people, and you
Well, you
just
have
line up.
yeah. There's a lot of restaurants around there for sure.
Yeah,
Pied de Cochon is right there, but you
right,
have all these brasseries, and then you have Le Père Tranquille, and then Le Chien qui fume. Those all these old-time French restaurants that are in all those movies, those noir movies.
right, right.
Crazy, huh?
And
They
that was
still
my
exist.
first experience. I was in Paris by myself on a trip on business, and I went to Chez Georges, I think, and I ordered a glass of white wine as I was getting some fish, and I just wanted a glass of white wine. And they said okay, and they came and they put down a glass and a bottle. And I had, this was all done in French, so
Oh yeah,
I
right,
just figured they
right.
misunderstood me, and I was like, no, 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 I'm vert du blanc,
Yeah.
and they just explained to me, no, you just drink how much you want. We'll just charge you
Yep.
accordingly. And I thought, wow,
Yep.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I know.
And
It's
I
and
also
also
probably
this.
drank a lot more than I would have if I would have been ordering it.
That's the thing. You drink more, and they work less, and they work less
Yeah, I probably drank the whole bottle by myself because it's there, and I
because
just kept.
that's the thing with the restaurant. Sometimes you don't have time to order another one because either the waiter doesn't come or the place is too busy, so you just skip it, right? As
Yeah,
here, it's right there to have, and
right,
that's exactly La Tour de Montlhéry. They give you, you can pick Bordeaux or Burgundy. That's it, or Côte d'Or, and they bring you the liter. It's a liter, and
yeah,
they charge like, you drink like half a liter. Okay, here we go. Oh,
yeah,
we should. Have you, do you remember Chartier, right? Remember
yeah.
Chartier? That's, people needs to go there. I always said, it's just an unbelievable, and it's still open, it's still busy, and every time I go to France, I always go to Chartier. It's just like mind blowing, this place. I can't believe that place still exists. It's just unbelievable. The line is crazy. Also, you can see that it's.
And it's funny; these different places have different specialties too. Like Le Dom, Le Dom was known
Mm,
for their sole meunière.
yep, seafood.
And they used to do a crepe Suzette, which was
So the dome is how was inspiring the dome in Los Angeles, where I worked when I was
oh
27.
huh
The dome in LA was where all the stars used to come. There was no other restaurant. There was L'Hermitage, L'Orangerie, La Toque, where I worked, and Le Dome. And I work at the Dome after. And I work in two of those places, three of those places.
Spago was probably in that time too.
Spago was little less. It was not the same level, but Spago
Well,
was
it wasn't
more
very
hip.
big either.
No, but Spago was more hip and cool.
Yeah,
It's not like
yeah,
it was hip and cool, and it was the bars were really fun at Spago. It's more like a hip place, or more like a
yeah,
um, like I don't. I'm not gonna say menu because his menu was not fancy, but it was very good. It was like he did pizza, right?
yeah.
But really
Pizza was
nice
what
pizza,
they were known for.
uh, nice pizza, and they're doing great stuff. I used to go to Spago a lot. I used to know this guy when he was young because Wolfgang Puck.
Wolfgang Puck.
He was super nice. And
Yeah,
anyway, so that's
I
funny.
got
That's
to
all
know him a
days.
little. I got to know him a little bit, and
Yeah.
he was fun. He was a fun. I don't know what he was like to
Good.
work for, but he was fun to be around.
I mean, from what I've heard, it was fine because we know it was a small, tight group of people that knew
Right.
everyone. Right? We all know everybody. We all go to have drink. He used to come to La Talk. He went to meet Ken. Ken never came out of the kitchen, whatever. Right? It's
Yeah.
okay. I don't care. But since I work at La Talk or L'Hermitage, all these nice places, everywhere I go, people take care of me because they know that I'm from another place. And it was only a few French people. I was one of the rare French waiter bartender in LA. So we were like six of us. It was Mario, who became famous because he went out with Stephanie in Monaco. So that's how I got to hang out with her. And then we had a couple, Alex, my friend Alex, who was a waiter at Lingerie. I mean, we were like maybe 6 to 8 people maximum. That's it. So because those restaurants were looking for French people for integrity, right? Because they are French restaurants, but they had nobody French. So we could work anywhere. We were, I mean, when I started, I was not that good, right? I mean, I was good. I was very fun, and people really loved to have me at their bar and stuff. But I was not. I was kind of messing around a lot.
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah.
French. That didn't matter.
You could pronounce all the wines.
That's so true. I could pronounce the wine and the alcohol, the cognac,
Right.
the Armagnac, and whatever. But the wine, I could say Le Chateau Mironton, and they like, oh my god, your accent is so beautiful. They were like, you could not believe it. It was so funny because it was not that many. It was like it was new, right?
Well,
So
and it's funny too because you told me that because you could pronounce everything, people thought you knew a lot about wine. And you were
didn't know
just
anything.
reading the label. You were just saying, this is what the label says.
I knew some. Thank God, no, I knew a little bit about wine because my dad is, we drink really good wine at home. I mean, my dad is crazy about wine. We have a cellar, but I didn't know more than that. I'm not, I was 20 years old. I knew a little bit, but not
I mean,
that
what
level,
20-year-old does know very much about wine? I mean,
right?
really, I mean, you haven't
But I
even been
could tell
drinking
them,
it that long.
and like you said, it was super impressive, and the chef was so happy that I could pronounce those beautiful because that was his thing. Yeah, he wanted something really nice, and he was tired of the waiter butchering the names.
Yeah.
Uh, because so anyway, so that was a fun time. That was a really good time.
So if people asked if you were a wine expert, you'd say, no, I can just read.
Yeah, I'm a reading expert.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Anyway, there's lots of adventures. But how about you, Jem? Because you've been in the food business as well, not in a different way, right? But it's still in the same kind of core.
Well, I did start my first experience with the food business was in restaurants as a
Oh,
bartender. I tended bar when I was very young. A friend of mine, I was doing theater, and a friend of mine I was doing plays with. He was a bartender at this place, and he got me
where?
a job. It was in
But
Lincoln,
where?
Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
So this place, it was called Misty's Lounge, and they were known for
No
their
wonder.
prime rib and um, and their bar. And so he got me a job, and it was a they were really into football. They had the bar was shaped like a football, and but when I started, I knew nothing about making drinks. He taught me everything that I
Right.
needed to know, and so I was constantly saying to him like, what's in a Manhattan again?" And he'd tell me, and I'm sure he covered for me a lot because I'm sure I was doing awful things. But I learned really quickly, and as soon as I would make a drink, then I knew how to make it and would go on from
But
there.
You had the Boston guide, bartender guide, right? The red book.
We probably
No,
did. I
that's
just
that was the only book. That was the only book,
Oh,
right?
that was it. Yeah, that was
Okay,
it. The
and that's what everybody
Boston
had. So
Bartender's
I had
Guide.
I had to go in the back.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my god!
fortunately at Misty's, people weren't ordering really sophisticated. It was like a lot of whiskey sours, and in those days, a whiskey sour was you put whiskey in the glass, and then you put the sour mix from the gun in the glass, and that was a whiskey
Wow.
sour. So it was easy. They drank a lot of highballs. The one thing we did that was really, really good is we had a house Bloody Mary, and they had this
Yeah.
special concoction that they made.
Nice.
And on Saturday mornings, when the University of Nebraska football team was playing, we would line up. We had these signature glasses. It was like an old-fashioned glass, but it was like double the size of an old-fashioned glass, and it was a clear glass, but it had red. On one side was the state of Nebraska, and on the other side was a picture
Whoa.
of the mascot, the Herbie, the
Yeah.
Cornhusker, or whatever. And so we would line up like 100 of those around the bar, and we would go down the line and we would fill it with a shot of the special stuff and the vodka and everything. So it'll be all set up so that when somebody ordered one, all we'd have to do is ice, tomato juice, and then put the
Oh
garnish.
yeah, right. Yeah, like we used to do. Remember at Cesar, we used to do our Bloody Mary mix. We did that for
Yeah.
like a minute
We started
until
doing it
they
again. We had a really good, somebody had
really.
come up with a really good mix. Yeah, it was very spicy and
I mean, we wrote a bunch of recipes for Cesar, right? When we did the book, it was a bunch.
yeah.
In that book, we had like
We
we
have
have like a whole page on Bloody Marys or something, right?
yeah. Yeah. But the funny thing is,
Uh,
to me a Bloody Mary is a morning
that's
drink.
fine.
And of course, Cesar wasn't a morning restaurant, so I was always sort of shocked when people ordered Bloody Marys because at Misty's, people would come in first thing in the morning, and they'd,
That's a
you
good
know,
book. Huh?
yeah, I have that book. Um,
That's right.
anyway, so that's how I started, and then I went to New York to do theater. I tended bar at a couple different places in Lincoln. One was a really crazy bar downtown near campus, so it was really um, like on football days, it was just packed. It would be packed for like
Wow.
2 hours before the game, and people would just drink as much as they could, and we'd be behind the bar just running, just making.
Yeah. Right.
And then when it got time for kickoff, the bar would just empty and they'd be gone.
Wow.
But so it was good training because I learned how to really work in a crowded environment and really crank stuff out really fast. But so anyway, I went to New York to do theater, but I ended up I ended up becoming the buyer at Dean and DeLuca for 10 years. Um, and so that's when I started traveling a lot
Yeah.
and going to
Didn't did
places
it.
to learn about
They,
food. And it was a real education. It was a really, it was like, I always say that's where I went to grad school, was at Dean and DeLuca, because I learned
how long
so
did
much.
you? How long were you there?
About 10 years. I was in New
Oh
York for
wow, that's a big
13
deal.
years. Yeah.
Oh, so you worked in that high end food
Yeah.
stuff a really
Yeah.
long time.
So I learned a lot. I traveled a lot because I went to all the trade shows in Europe,
Wow.
and then I started
Wow.
getting, and then I started writing. I started writing for a trade magazine.
Well, you started with your. I remember you're telling me you started with your name tag, and that it
Yeah.
evolved, right? And then there was
Right.
people's
I,
name tag.
I wrote my name tag, and then so I got invited on a press trip to Spain to look at Spanish cheeses, and
Wow.
I had never done any professional writing, but it was just a fluke how I got invited
Right.
because
Yeah.
a
Right.
friend of mine got invited, but he couldn't go, so he suggested to them that I go, and I had to go up to this office in the Chrysler Building one day and convince them that they should take me to Spain,
Wow.
and so they did. And on the trip, I
Man.
met the woman that would become my first editor, and she offered me a column to write, and that was it. I started writing freelance for them, and eventually joined them as a full-time editor after I came out here. So my route into food was started behind the bar, and then went into high upscale retail food, food and housewares. And I imported copper pots and pans from
Oh
France. I
yeah, right, right, right.
imported French porcelain and all kinds of tools and
Wow.
baking molds and stuff.
And I bet you at the time that was selling really well, all this stuff, right?
Oh yeah. And because we bought stuff directly from the factory and imported it, our prices were pretty good.
Oh
We were able to
wow.
sell for just
Oh
almost what
wow.
the wholesalers were trying to sell it to us for. So
Wow.
anybody else would buy from these wholesalers, and
Yeah.
our we'd have a copper pot that might be $50, and theirs would be 75 or $100. So
Mm.
anyway, I learned so much, and I traveled to France every year, and Italy and Spain, and just every time we went, we just we eat at these great restaurants. We would go to marketplaces. We would look at all the markets, all the shops, and it's how we learned, and it was really great. And then I ended up back in the restaurant business here, and
Oh
just
yeah,
as a
right.
kind of a moonlighting job to make more
And
money.
that's did we meet at Manzani? What is that?
Mazzini, I went
Mazzini.
to work for
Where did
them.
we met there?
No,
I'm
I think
trying
we
to.
met at Cesar, but I was a customer. Sydney and I would come in like once or twice a week and sit at the bar and have dinner and drink. And I got to know you and Bill and Kathleen, and
And the security. You got to know the security a lot.
I got to know the security guards every time they would walk me out to the street.
You exchange a few words.
I knew Richard before Cesar
Oh,
opened. I
okay,
knew
okay,
him
okay,
when he was still at Chez Panisse, a little bit, not well, but I knew him.
okay, okay.
So we would come into Cesar, and if Richard was there, oh my God, we'd drink a couple glasses of wine each, and then Richard would be over in front of us, and he'd suddenly say, "Oh, drink some of this," and he'd make us a drink, or he'd
I
start
know.
pouring
Yeah,
shots and bread. So we'd just get
he would not stop
so
with the beer.
drunk. Fortunately, we were in walking distance, so when we
So
left
you mean
Cesar, we would just walk
you
home.
yeah, I remember you're working distance.
I did not walk home in a straight line, however. But yeah, I always walked to Cesar. It was great, and
Oh yeah, no, yeah, me too. When I used to work, so for me, well, no, I'm sorry,
you lived pretty close for a while when you lived
I
down
live
in that
close,
apartment.
but then I moved. So I used to work,
Yeah,
but then I moved.
yeah,
That was cool. To work is pretty amazing, especially when you
yeah.
work in a bar, right? I mean, this is like nothing can happen to you.
Well, yeah, I used to close
You know?
Cesar by myself sometimes, and
Yeah.
I'd be locking the door. It'd be 12:30, 1 o'clock,
Oh yeah.
and I would just walk home, and
It's pretty safe even now. With
some of the servers would say to me, some of the girls would say, you walk home by yourself at one
that's
o'clock
so
in the
weird.
morning? Isn't that dangerous? And I'd say, well, I don't know. I've never had a problem.
Yeah, no. So that area is pretty safe. Even now is even with all the homeless we have. I know the homeless we have in North Berkeley are pretty nice, right?
Well, I was never afraid of the homeless people. That they want to
No, but like
keep as low profile as
don't.
possible. But there were, there were muggers and stuff. But
No, the
uh,
reason I'm saying that is because other than people living here, there's not many people walking around in North Berkeley. So at night, it's
no,
either the homeless or it's either the homeless or the. Sorry,
I
I have
would
to
see a
think
lot
about it.
of homeless people on the way home. In fact, sometimes I would have
Right.
food that I would give them on
Yeah,
my way
exactly.
home.
Right. And we know that. We know most of them, right? They're the same people
Yeah.
that we've known for what, 10 years or it's
Well, the cheese board was right across the street, and
yep.
quite often they would close and they'd have a whole bunch of pies left, so they would just bring them to
Right,
us.
right, right.
And so sometimes I'd have, half a dozen full pizzas there, and I didn't know what to do with them because everybody was gone. I was the only one left. I was locking up, doing the closing. and I'd have all these pizzas, and I didn't want to just leave them there. I didn't want them
I
to go
know.
to waste. I didn't want to throw them
Yeah,
away. So
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of times, if we didn't eat them, I would just.
Hmm.
I mean, we often ate them. I mean, we ate them for our meal while we were at work. But if there was a lot of them left over, I would just take them with me, and on the way home, I knew I would see somebody. And at one time, there were these two young kids sleeping on the sidewalk in a little. They were huddled together in a little thing.
Yeah,
And I walked
that's
by. I
funny.
said, "Hey, you hungry?" Well, yeah. I said, "Do you want some pizza?"
I know.
Yeah. So I
I
just
know.
gave them
Cool.
all the pizza, and oh my God, they were so happy.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
But
Are you cold over there at your house? There's no heater or something?
I'm in my office in the basement, so it's a little cold
Oh,
down here.
you
This time
look
of
like
year,
you have your strap on you.
I know I've like
You really you looks like you're in a one of those walking.
I know I got to get something behind me on the wall because it looks like I'm in a jail cell. But yeah, it's a little cold down here in the wintertime. In the summer, it's
Dang.
great. The garden's right outside. I'm looking out into the garden over there, and
Right.
it's really nice in most of the year. It's really nice down here, but it's about 3 months where it's pretty chilly. So, but
All right. So let's
what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. At
yeah,
least
that's
that's
what they
what they
say.
say. I don't know who they are.
So chef, we have about 10 minutes. So this is our first show of the year. Very excited.
Yeah,
We're gonna have guests. We keep saying that, but some of the guests that we have contacted are not available yet,
yeah.
and
It's
we're
hard to
making
get
a big.
people. It's hard to get people to commit to a certain time and place, and they're very,
You
you
mean
know,
on Monday afternoon?
yeah. And because they have interesting careers, that's why we want to talk to them. There
Yeah.
also means they're very busy, and so one of the things we're going to do in the next few weeks, we've got a long list of things that happen in restaurants, bizarre things that people request in a restaurant,
Just
and
just say it. We're gonna make fun of people. Just say it.
we're going to make fun of people. Yeah, I've noticed that online there have been several times lately where there was like stupid things that people say in restaurants, or things that
Right.
servers in
Well,
restaurants don't want to hear.
we've lived that. We've
Yeah, and I mean, some of them are just crazy. Like people that want to know if you can make the steak special without meat. Uh,
no the steak. Yeah, the steak special without meat. Right.
yeah,
The
here's one.
sirloin special. No,
There's a
make it vegetarian.
Yeah, yeah, make it veg. A customer complained that after she ate her omelet, the special omelet on the menu, she complained that the menu didn't wasn't clear that there was so much egg in it. Um, I want the stuffed salmon. I don't like the taste of
I know.
salmon though, so don't make it taste like salmon.
You
Okay.
know how many times I've heard that? Like, is the fish taste like fish? I understand the question. I know what they mean. It's like I think they went to like really crappy restaurant.
Right.
When you receive your fish, it smells like disgusting. A good fish, fresh, doesn't smell like fish. It smells like nothing.
It
And then
doesn't
you
have
cook
any
it, and
smell. If
then you make
anything,
it
it
something.
smells a little like the sea. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
it's
the iodine or sodium maybe, but it tastes good. It smells good. It's So it's very interesting. It's like you can see that people have never had a good experience with fish, obviously,
I always tell
because they
people
don't
no, that
want
the fish tastes like pork. The pork tastes like
chicken
beef,
like chicken,
and the beef tastes like chicken.
which it should because the farm fish, the really crappy fish, they give them chicken pellets, so that's very possible.
Right, right. I Yeah. Well,
All right, so
it's
five
true
minutes.
though that people get used to going to restaurants that don't serve very good food. So when they come to a good restaurant, it's like people
Yeah,
even at the bar, people would they would they would try to tell you how they wanted their drink made because they
I
just
know.
had so many lousy cocktails in their life.
Oh, God, it's like
And
no.
usually I would just say, look, just let me make you a drink. If you don't like it, I can make it again, but I
If you
think
don't
you'll
like
like
it,
it.
I'll drink it.
And we'll keep doing that until I get it right.
Oh,
People
it's funny.
always want to tell you how to make a martini. Like, I'd like a martini, I'd like it very cold and dry and
By the way.
blah blah blah. And I'd say, so in other words, you want a martini.
Right, right.
That's what a martini should be. It should be very cold. But I don't know where they go to get drinks. And margaritas are the other thing. They want to tell you how to make the margarita, and it's like,
That's crazy.
we make a really good margarita, and
Yeah.
it's not that complicated.
You guys do.
First of all.
Actually, you do, because then you go to other places that are pretty crappy. But there's a lot of good bars in the area, though. So that's the thing. We have a lot of
Yeah.
good bartenders in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. You can see some I mean, my son, my older son, 30, Archibald, is a really good bartender at Calavera. Really
Uh-huh.
cool restaurant. I went there. Ooh, I was telling, I just went there last week, Calavera. It's a Mexican restaurant. Beautiful. I mean, super. I had oxtail stew. I had I had a bunch of stuff that was fun. And I told this guy, the chef just bought the restaurant, so I thought we should have him on the show.
Oh yeah.
He's really
I
cool.
remember
His
when
food is
I
his
remember
food is
when Archie
beautiful.
started working in restaurants over here. I mean, he was like,
At at
he was a
at
busser, and he worked
no,
at
he worked
Gregoire for a while, and
Gregoire
then
first, Gregoire first, and then Sea Salt,
Sea Salt, right?
and then he worked for a minute at the on Gilman, no, that crazy place.
Maybe he worked with Alfie over in Oakland at Plum Bar.
Right, that was after. Yeah, that's how he became a really good bartender and stuff.
Yeah,
But originally he was a busboy, and he did a good job, and people loved him, and I was so happy because it was my son, and I knew
yeah,
all these people, and it was always cool to go in restaurant and say, "Oh, your son is cool. He's really cool. He's good dude." And, man, I
yeah,
don't care what he does. It was like, hearing that was very, very special.
yeah, yeah. No, he's a good kid,
Yeah.
and he's come a long way.
Yes.
When he first came here, he didn't even speak English. He barely spoke any English, and
He came when he was 14 or
yeah,
15, went right through. That was
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
All right, so guys, we're almost done, and we're gonna go back next Monday, right? We're back to our schedule.
We
We
will be
have
back next
questions.
Monday. We'll have new
We have
questions. We'll
we
have
have tons of
new.
questions, guys. We have tons of fun questions. We're gonna pick the whatever we have, and bring the. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna make fun of people because I want to. It's fun.
Because that's what we do.
We do some of it, not all of it, but life is fun. Life is a joke. Take it as it, because you're not gonna make it alive anyways. Just hope you know that. So don't worry
No,
too much, right?
yeah. Um, just to give an example of, I'll give one example of what customers can say. When I was at Dean and DeLuca many years ago, I had this woman come in, and she did not look well. She looked anemic. She was skinny. She just didn't have any color in her face. She just didn't look like she ate very well, and she wanted to know if I had any books that taught you how to make French pastry without any dairy, eggs, or white
Wow.
flour, something like that. And I said, well, it was butter, sugar, and cream. She didn't want French pastry without any butter, sugar, or cream. And I said, well, those are pretty much the big three ingredients in French pastry. Or I said, or any other pastry I know of. I mean,
And eggs.
eggs. Yeah, it was eggs, butter, cream, flour. I said, that's it.
That's it. There's nothing else.
There's nothing else. And she was so disappointed. And of course, now there are books that teach you how to do these things with all kinds of fake food. But
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say to her. I said, well, you can't make French pastry without eggs and butter and cream. And
Because if you don't know, you don't know, right? It's a stupid question, but then on the other hand, if you don't know how it's made, you have no idea, right? You know what I mean? It's like,
but it was she
it's
wanted
fun.
to be able to eat this stuff, but she was so afraid of it. She was so afraid if she ate pastry that she was going
Yeah,
to be
because it's
ill.
not, again,
And
it's not their fault.
I'm looking at her thinking, you're
I
already
know.
ill. You just, you'd
Right.
probably be better off if you ate some
Yes,
pastry.
exactly. Right.
I
Exactly.
mean,
That's
go
true.
eat an
And
apple tart. It's good for you. There's
yeah,
nothing bad in it. I mean, it's sugar. Okay,
yeah,
sugar's not great, but it's not
yeah.
going to kill you. And if you don't
No,
overdo it, have a
exactly.
piece of tart in the afternoon with a cup of
Yeah,
tea.
exactly. And you
That's
said the right thing. Afternoon.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point. So eat your sugar in the afternoon. All right, we're gonna go 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. We have to punch the clock now and go home. Oh wait, I am home. We'll see you next week.
Who are you gonna punch?
Nobody. I'm
All
a
right.
non-violent person.
All right,
All right.
people.
We'll
Great.
see you
Hey,
next week.
welcome back, James. So we'll see you next week. It was fun,
It was
and
good to
let's
be
get
here.
that going.